This is Stan J. Caterbone and the Advanced Media Group at 1250 Fremont Street, Lancaster, Pennsylvania, 17603. It's now 5:51 a.m. Sunday, January 16th, 2022. I'm going to do an update and a state of affairs. Haven't done one for a while. Today is the third anniversary. On January 16th, 2019, I was abducted by the Lancaster City Police, taken to Lancaster County Prison for the second Ramirez stalking charge, and didn't get out till October 3rd, 2019, on a no contest plea, which means I didn't admit guilt, but I did a plea. They reduced the charge from a felony down to a misdemeanor. So today is the third anniversary. And there's been a lot of developments with my civil and criminal litigation in federal and state courts. So I'm going to do an update today regarding all those affairs. In case you're not familiar, in the news lately, as of yesterday, has been the Havana syndrome. Now, the Havana syndrome is the case where the diplomats in 2016 were hit with microwave weapons. At first, they called them sonic weapons and assault weapons, but now they're calling them microwave weapons. Now, as of yesterday, the Biden administration is trying to lay the blame that it's the Russians using these weapons. Then, a few weeks ago, or a month or so ago, they started coming out in the news that the Chinese were using these weapons against the American diplomats. Now, the diplomats started out in the State Department in 2016, and it's progressed over the last 3 or 4 years to CIA operatives working abroad, several CIA operatives. And the Biden administration is trying to claim that they are taking care of the victims. Now, I think in September, I filled out a questionnaire for the State Department regarding Havana syndrome and whether you were targeted or not by these weapons. I completed mine and sent it in. But recently, people that have been hit by these weapons on the record have been complaining that there's not been any progress as far as their health care being taken care of and things like that. Now, yesterday, I got a video where Department of State Secretary Blinken was interviewed on Morning Joe, and he's trying to say that they're sending victims to Johns Hopkins for treatment. In 2018, there was a leaked document from Popular Mechanics regarding symptoms of microwave weapons, electromagnetic weapons, and microwave weapons. So I'm going to read through the symptom list and tell it details most of my symptoms, not all of them. Now, lately, in the past couple months, I've been gassed in my own home. Now, they use these toxic fumes in here, and it gags me, it chokes me, I can't breathe. So I have to ventilate. I use exhaust fans normally, but I have to open up 2 windows just to be able to breathe. In addition to that, I've been drugged on a daily basis. When I go to sleep, I'll wake up in a drug stupor. Now, there's been a book by Dr. John Hall in 2009 titled Satellite Terror, A New Breed Satellite Terrorism in America. Now, he was dating a girl back in the early 2000s, I think it was. Anyway, and he started recording in her home, and he found people breaking in and drugging her. And she was a victim of microwave weapons. So the book came out in 2009, and it goes over a chapter called Rohypnol and Satellite Weapons, where they'll drug you and do different things. Now, they were abusing her sexually when they were drugging her. With me, I'm not sure they're doing that. I know what one thing they're doing is they're getting on my computer, manipulating files and documents and drives and things like that. So I'm going to go through this symptom list. It came out in 2018. They said it was a leaked document, and it looks like it is a leaked document. And I'll go over the symptoms one by one. I used the document in all my updates and my multimedia library, so on and so forth. So I'm going to go over these symptoms right now. First symptom, forced memory and blanking and induced erroneous actions. Now, that symptom right there is when they move my hands and make me drop things. Second is induced changes to hearing, both apparent directions and volume, and sometimes even content. I don't have so much of a problem with that. Third is sudden violent itching inside eyelids. That's been happening to me for the past year. I'll itch my eyes. It feels like something's inside my eye and I got to rub them. So that's a big one with me. Fourth is forced manipulation of airways, including externally controlled forced speech. They do that to me a lot. They'll gag me and choke me. Now, it's not the gases, but it's just closing my airways. And forced speech is when they won't let me talk at times. Now, in this release, there's a diagram of a person. It's a woman, a sketch with these symptoms pointing to different parts of her body. Number 5 is wildly racing heart without cause. They do that to me once in a while, not very often. Number 6, remotely induced violent no rash itching with preference for hard to reach areas, often during delicate or messy work. That's been going on with me for a long time, and it is violent. It is so painful. The itch is so bad. Now, I have anti-itch cream that I use that I have to put on. A lot of times they'll do my toes, my ankles, and I can't reach. So I have a scratcher. It's about a 24-inch piece of wood with a curved end that I use to itch. Now, in the past couple of weeks, I found a new method to counter this. And what I do is I get into my shower and I have a handle with the massage head, and I pulsate my whole body with that massaging wand, and it works. It'll take away the itch for at least 12 hours or so. And that is a big problem. It's very, very painful, especially when you're crippled like me and you can't reach. And of course, I'm crippled because of the weapons. Number 7, forced nudging of arm during delicate or messy work causing injury or spills. They do that to me all day long. They'll make me drop things. I'll have to bend over, get my grabber, and pick them up. Number 8, special attention to genital area itch and forced orgasm intense pain. Now, this has to do with the telepathic sex. And the neurodildo document that I have out that was put out that was declassified. Well, it wasn't declassified. Anyway, it's a document that contains, it's called neurodildo for disabled persons. And what it is it's a Bluetooth device that connects your genitals, whether you're male or female. Now, what they use with me is microwaves. Number 9, intense genital pain or hot needles pushed deep into the flesh sensation. I have pain all over my body. Number 10, also wild flailing, sometimes followed by short periods of rigor mortis. I don't have that so much. Number 11, hard to reach itch site, top and bottom, never any rash, which often starts at the sensation of small electrical shocks. They do that to me all the time. Number 12 is demo neural control by bending each toe backwards almost 9 degrees, one at a time. They'll give me cramps, violent cramps. Number 13, general effects, sudden body heat induced sensations, all body pain, forced caffeine field, sleep prevention, forced drop in your tracks, sleep induced, irresistible go here to, or go there commands, microwave burns, electrical shots. I have all that. Now, the drop dead in your tracks, the tiredness, I just had to take an energy drink. They knew I was going to go to work and they hit me with that, I call it the sleepies. You just want to go to sleep. Now, they used to do this to me when I was driving a lot. So I always had an energy drink in my car. Number 14, very important. Involuntary test subjects also experience frequent break-ins, break and enters at home and at work with clothing, furniture, business papers, computer files sabotaged or modified or stolen, psychological warfare research, the likely motive. Well, that's, I mean, I don't have to elaborate on that, what they do to my files and things like that. 15, reading and broadcasting thoughts. Now, what they'll do is they'll broadcast what I'm thinking. Now, a lot of this goes back to this predictive policing, where the local police departments are using these technologies. Of course, Lancaster City Police. Number 16, controlled dreams. They do that to me a lot. Forced dreams. They'll induce dreams into my head, and it's their dreams, not mine, but I'll have them. They'll do it to me with nightmares. 17, forced waking visions, some sync with body motions. I don't have those. 18, microwave hearing, which is telepathy. Of course, we don't have to elaborate on that. Number 19, transparent eyelids. Don't know what that is. I don't have that. 20, artificial tinnitus. That's when you hear ringing in your ears. I'll have that once in a while. Now, Kenny Rhodes complained of that a lot. He's the TI from Michigan that came to see me in 2010. 21, forced movement of jaws and clacking of teeth. They do that to me a lot, especially my jaw, lately, my jaw. 22, forced muscle quacking of the large muscles in back. That hits me all the time. That's why I use all my massaging devices that vibrate to counter that, which helps and works. 23, forced precision manipulation of hands, sometimes sync to the waking dreams. They do that with my hands, make me drop things or move things, spill things, things like that. Number 24, in 1974, the first unclassified transmission of human voice directly into the skull, telepathy, of a living person was performed by Dr. Joseph Sharp of the Walter Reed of Army Institute of Research in 1974. By transforming hypnotist's voice by using the lower silent sound or some of scramble methods used in the Gulf War, it is possible to hypnotize a target without the target being aware, from hiding, leaving zero trace evidence. I don't have to elaborate on that. Now, my father suffered from that. He was chipped, but he had in 1996, my father had an affidavit notarized where he says, just like a lot of the TIs, they hear what I hear, know what I know, see what I see. Now, when I worked at the dry cleaners with my father in 71, 72, I used to see my dad talking to himself. That was telepathy. In fact, when he moved back to Lancaster and lived in the Church Street Towers from 83 to 99, till I moved him up to New York, we'd have conversations and I'd ask him what they were telling him, and he'd tell me. Now, he thought they were aliens. It was a male and female, just like Nicholas Cruz. He would tell me what they're saying to him and things like that. So this is this document called 19 Symptoms put out by Popular Mechanics in 2018. Now, the next thing I'm going to do, 2 days ago, Governor Newsom, Gavin Newsom from California, denied Sirhan's parole. In September, the parole board granted Sirhan parole. Now, Sirhan claimed that he didn't remember anything about killing Robert Kennedy. And Dr. Pepper, or Mr. Pepper, is an attorney, and he filed for Sirhan in trying to get him released from prison, saying that he was a victim of these weapons. He was a victim of being hit with synthetic telepathy and things like this, being hypnotized. Well, in 2017, I filed an amicus in a human rights course to follow up with Pepper's filings. And I sent them in November, I believe it was, to Gavin Newsom. So I'm going to read through my amicus for Sirhan. Now, people thought that he was going to be released. Half of the Kennedy family filed papers saying they didn't believe that Sirhan was the killer. Now, Sirhan was from the Middle East. He was Jordanian, I believe. I think he was even living in Iran. Anyway, I'm going to read my amicus brief on the Sirhan case. To the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights, IACHR, an organization of American states, OAS, regarding the case of Sirhan, represented by William F. Pepper, EDD-JD. He's a lawyer. Brief on behalf of Amici Curiae, Stanley J. Caterbone, and Advanced Media Group in support of Sirhan. On the front cover, I have in yellow highlighted, quote, the suspicion is, Pepper remarked, that Sirhan appeared to fit the parameters of the infamous CIA drug and consciousness altering program MKUltra. Its former director, Sid Gottlieb, destroyed most of the operation's records in 1973. Dr. Daniel Brown, Harvard Medical School, spent nearly 70 hours examining Sirhan through hypnosis and questioning, concluding that the Palestinian Christian had undergone a variety of procedures coupled with drugs to make him controllable. Notably, Pepper said, this could have occurred while Sirhan had mysteriously disappeared for 2 weeks before the assassination. Seen as a patsy, he was prepped as a distraction while the real murderer fired the close-up shots killing Kennedy, Pepper continued. Sirhan had apparently had a handler, a woman in a polka dot dress, the attorney remarked. She disappeared after she pinched the scapegoat on the neck, apparently triggering Sirhan's belief that he was really shooting at a paper man-shaped target from a firing range. By William F. Pepper, July 20th, 2017. Now, my amicus is dated August 5th, 2017. I'm going to read through the statement of interest of amicus curiae. Stanley J. Caterbone is a private citizen and the majority shareholder of the United States Incorporated Business Advanced Media Group. Stanley J. Caterbone was a whistleblower and shareholder in 1987 involving the United States defense contractor International Signal Control, PLC, known as ISC. In 1992, International Signal Control was indicted and found guilty of, among other things, $1 billion fraud. They were indicted in 91, but Jim Guerin pled guilty in 92. And export violations concerning illegally shipping cluster bomb technologies, missile defense systems, and other defense systems to foreign interests, including South Africa, Iraq, and Saddam Hussein. Cluster bombs and related technologies are known to have been exported to Iraq by the Chilean arms dealer Carlos Caterbone, a joint venture partner of International Signal Control. The Central Intelligence Agency is confirmed to have been involved in a covert program to arm Iraq during the 1980s with close ties to International Signal Control, which allegedly include the help of the National Security Agency, a former end user of International Signal Control's technologies under the early 1980s program Project X. A presidential finding in 1984 by the Bush administration was executed to implement the program of arming Saddam Hussein and Iraq with the cluster bomb technologies. Serious allegations of these programs were the focus of investigations that included the knowledge and supervision of then appointed nominee for the Director of Central Intelligence, Robert N. Gates. Second paragraph. Since 1987, Stanley J. Caterbone has been the victim of a vast conspiracy that started in 1987 to cover up allegations of fraud within International Signal Control during the negotiations of merger of International Signal Control and Ferrani International of England. Stanley J. Caterbone alleges that warrantless surveillance was used to obstruct justice and moot his constitutional rights in an effort to divert attention away from his allegations of fraud within International Signal Control back in 1987 and afterwards to the present as a means to deny him access to the courts for remedying relief and Federal False Claims Act violations. The business of Advanced Media Group has been greatly compromised and intellectual property stolen during the late 80s and early 90s that include information technology contracts with the United States government. Third paragraph. Organized stalking and harassment began in 1987 following the public allegations of fraud with the NISC. The organized stalking and harassment was enough to drive an ordinary person to suicide. As far as back as the 1980s, Stan J. Caterbone knew that his mind was being read or remotely viewed. This was verified and confirmed when information only known to him and never written, spoken, or typed was repeated by others. In 1998, while soliciting the counsel of Philadelphia attorney Christina Rainville represented Lisa Michelle Lambert in the Laurie Show murder case, someone introduced the term remote viewing through an email. That was the last time it was an issue until 2005. The term was researched, but that was the extent of the topic. Remote viewers may have attempted to connect in a more direct and continuous way without success. Fourth paragraph. In 2005, the US-sponsored mind control turned into an all-out assault of mental telepathy, synthetic telepathy, and pain and torture through the use of directed energy devices and weapons that usually fire a low-frequency electromagnetic energy at the targeted victim. The assault was no coincidence in that it began simultaneously with the filing of the federal action in U.S. District Court, or Caterbone versus Lancaster County Prison at L 05-2288 in the U.S. District Court in Philadelphia. The assault began after the handlers remotely trained Stan J. Caterbone with mental telepathy. The main difference opposed to most other victims of this technology is that Stan J. Caterbone is connected 24/7 with the person who declares that she is Interscope recording artist Cheryl Crow of Kennett, Missouri. Stan J. Caterbone has spent 3 years trying to validate and confirm this person without success. Most U.S. intelligence agencies refuse to cooperate, and the Federal Bureau of Investigation and the U.S. Attorney's Office refused to comment. See attached documents for more information. In 2006, or the beginning of 2007, Stan J. Caterbone began his extensive research into mental telepathy and mind control technologies, remote viewing, and the CIA mind control program labeled MK Ultra and its subprograms. Next paragraph. In January of 2006, Stanley J. Caterbone was detained at every airport security checkpoint, which was during a policy of random checks, and taken out of line during travel from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania to Houston, Texas, and on to Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. At the Houston airport, Stanley J. Caterbone was falsely accused of carrying plastic explosives and taken to an interview room by Homeland Security officials. Stanley J. Caterbone was also detained for 3 days in Mexico and was not provided an opportunity to gain access to a flight out of the country by Mexican officials. Today, Stanley J. Caterbone is a pro se litigant in several state and local courts in an effort to be restored to whole since a whistleblowing in 1987. Most notable is Caterbone versus the National Security Agency et al., the United States Courts of Appeals for the Third Circuit, case number 17-1904. The case is a preliminary injunction for emergency relief filed to immediately halt the obstruction of justice that is being administered through the illegal COINTEL program coupled with the torture program. Now, that's all I'm going to read from the amicus. You get the idea of what's going on here. Now, currently, I have 9 pending motions in the Nicholas Cruz case down in Broward, Florida. Now, the Nicholas Cruz case is front and center now because in February 21st, his sentencing hearing begins. Back in September, Nicholas Cruz pled guilty all of a sudden. So he pled guilty, which mooted out a trial, but he still has to have a sentencing hearing because they want to give him the death penalty. So on May 2nd, 2018, now the killings where he killed 26 people, Parkland High School, was Valentine's Day, February 14th, 2018. On May 2nd, 2018, I filed an application for amicus. It's never been ruled on. So I've been filing motions ever since. I have 9 pending motions before Judge Scheer down in Broward County. Now it's a state court. Now, Judge Shear, her husband is a cop, is a policeman in I believe Hollywood, Florida. Her father is one of the most influential Republicans in South Florida, very well known. So I've been filing cases, motions down there for her to rule on. Now, there's another case that's pending, and that has to do, well, it's not pending anymore, it's been resolved. In 2017, I filed a letter to Britney Spears' attorney. Finally, Britney Spears was removed from her conservatorship, where they controlled everything, every aspect of her life. Now, she was just removed from the conservatorship about 3 weeks ago, 3 or 4 weeks ago. Now, I filed for her back in 2017. So I'm going to end this recording now, and I'm going to do a follow-up, which will be part 2. This is Stanley J. Caterbone and Advanced Media Group at 1250 Fremont Street, Lancaster, Pennsylvania, in my home office basement. It's now 6:21 a.m. on Sunday, January 16th, 2022.